Well, actually, God had told me if I'd give up certain things, that he would heal me. So not only was my physical body like falling apart, but also I had turned to trying alcohol.
So you're searching for it in another marriage. You're searching for it in the alcohol.
And something I haven't ever talked about hardly publicly, but masturbation. That was an outlet, just like alcohol was. Actually, it was a more extreme outlet because I can never remember not.
Oh, wait, I don't think our audience heard that. She can't remember never not using that as an outlet. So we're talking about as far back as a toddler.
Yep, that's correct.
Hi, and welcome to Anchoring Wounded Christians Through Spiritual Storms. With your host, Heather O'Brien, I'm going to give you step-by-step details to help you defeat the enemy. So I'm so glad that you're here. Today we have Susie with us, and Susie comes as a client. We've been talking here and there for several months, maybe a year. When we first started talking, she had a few different things she was going through, struggling through. And that's what I do is I help wounded Christians through spiritual storms. And today we want to hear Susie's breakthrough. I want to tell you that her breakthrough is your breakthrough. So everything that she tells you about is a testimony of what Jesus can do for you. So if you're struggling with anything, I want you to think about, oh, that's for me. That testimony is for me. So the first thing coming to my mind, Susie, is when we first started talking, you were really struggling moving, like physically moving. Why was that? And what does it look like now?
Okay, so probably about 3 years ago, I actually was just walking down the street and I decided to start a challenge where I'd walk 3 miles a day. And as I was walking, I was feeling good. I actually added people to my challenge and we were doing it together. And one day, my whole knee out of the blue just swelled up and I couldn't walk. And it hurt so bad. I went to the doctor quite a few times and they found out that I had a tendonitis. Basically, I had torn my tendons and my ligaments. And so I had to get out of work and I was out for probably at least 6 weeks just trying to heal and recover. A lot of MRI, a lot of imaging, trying to figure out what the heck was wrong with me. And it got better. And then I actually started having other physical pain. So the next year I had a hysterectomy because I had a lot of inside pain. So not only was I having, my body fall apart on the outside, well, it started also in the inside. And I had endometriosis really bad. So I went ahead and had a hysterectomy. And then the next year, it got so bad on my knee that I couldn't even walk almost at all. I was literally being pushed around in a wheelchair at some point. I went to Walmart to go grocery shopping and my husband had to push me and my son took turns and he would call me Mark Cart Mom because he had to push me in the Mark Cart. And yeah, that was a struggle, man. It took a lot out of me and caused a lot of emotional damage, actually.
Would you say that those physical things had any kind of spiritual attachments, or do you think they're all physical?
Well, actually talking to you almost gave me the light of maybe could come back from my childhood and things like that. That throughout my life, the things I've gone through could stress, even things you don't even think about come out. If you don't heal them, they'll come out through different parts of your body. And I really believe that partly why endometriosis is one of the things people don't think about. But a lot of people that have, especially stuff like that, is childhood trauma.
Yeah. So just recently, you were saying you were like climbing mountains and stuff. You went on vacation, and I was like, hey, I remember a time she couldn't walk.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was crazy. I'll kind of go back a little bit because in January, I had actually a really hard time and I didn't even know if I'd ever be able to go back to work or if I couldn't even hardly walk to the bathroom. It was so bad. My whole body hurt. I also was told I had a tumor in my neck at one point. So my arm was going numb. My body was really falling apart. And well, actually, God had told me if I'd give up certain things, that he would heal me.
And let's talk about that. So that's what I was thinking. Like at the same time you were going through these physical ailments and treatments, you and I were talking, we were doing coaching sessions and the Lord was leading you out of some things. So tell us, what was it that God was asking you to let go of?
Okay. So one thing was alcohol. Not everyone knows that because it's one thing. I grew up, I did not drink alcohol. Actually, it took and other things that happened in my life. I actually had a divorce and that caused me to start drinking because it was a hard part of your life to go through that. And so not only was my physical body like falling apart, but also I had turned to trying alcohol. I think the first time I was like 30. And so it is something I turned back to when I was going through all the pain because to me it would numb my pain. So I wasn't sure what to do with myself. I mean, they kept trying to prescribe me prescription drugs. They prescribed me antidepressants and things like that, but I didn't want to get addicted to drugs. And so red wine was supposedly anti-inflammatory. So you would find me with my big cup of wine trying to numb myself and trying to get through my day. And honestly, one of the worst decisions because mentally it made me even worse.
This is while you are still trying to have a relationship with Jesus. Is that true?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. We call ourselves Christians and everyone's like, Christians don't do that. And I'm like, actually, Christians have struggles too.
Yes.
We need to talk about that. We need to make it where we're not embarrassed about our struggles, but we can find someone to talk to about them so that we can get out of them, right?
Yes. And I know there's people who might have a cup of wine and not really feel convicted about it. But for me, going to the store alone, I wanted to hide. I'm like, hopefully nobody sees me over here get my bottle of wine. Because for me, it was a crutch. It really became a crutch. So some people are okay, but for me, no, I was not
Were you
okay.
drinking to the point of excess where you were intoxicated?
Not that often, but it definitely became something I felt like I had to have.
Yeah,
Which
there you
really-
go. Okay, so that's what I wanted the audience to hear is sometimes we can be addicted to things that aren't necessarily outwardly like seemingly wrong. Could be TV, could be having something to eat or drink. Like some people reach to cake and that can be just as wrong. You're not going to get intoxicated from cake. You might gain some weight and you might not. It depends on your body type, right? But if the Lord is convicting you, you know what the scriptures say? Like, if it's a sin to you, it is a sin. And so we have to be really mindful of listening to our conscience because that's God speaking to us. So I love that you said that. You weren't intoxicated all of the time, but it was a crutch.
If you're finding this ministering to your heart, I want to give you a freebie and make sure that you're aware that this is available on my website at heatherobrien.net/courses. You can go get a free video and reading plan on breaking free from addictions. I want you to go try it out right now, heatherobrien.net/courses. Go to the bottom of the page under free resources, and there's a free video and reading plan on breaking free from addictions, and it works. Okay, let's go back to hear the rest of the conversation.
Yes, it was for sure.
So in other words, you weren't leaning on God on this thing.
Oh, no, I gave up on God at that point. I mean, it was a struggle. I kept on praying, but at the same time, I started questioning, are you there? Are you real? Are you here? Look at me. I'm falling apart. And then my marriage started falling apart.
There we go. So that's the next thing. Do you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, that was a really hard time because I was young. I had gotten married when I was 15 before, and I was married for 16 years and I went through a divorce. And, but the way I grew up, you don't get a divorce. You stay. Even if you're not happy, you just stay and you fight, which I do agree with marriage. You should try your hardest for sure to stay married if you can. But so when I got my second chance at love, I had high expectations. And and it was good. It was good for a while, but I have to say, broken people attract broken people.
There you go.
And man, I will tell you, you can't love somebody when you don't know how to love yourself. And it wasn't just me learning, it was him too. So together, we were both broken and trying so hard.
People learning at the same time. I don't know that there's any good combination, really.
No.
It was difficult. And you were going through physical difficulties on top of a spiritual, like I would say all of this is a spiritual attack. Would you go to and it just started in one little thing and another little thing. And maybe there were certain things that opened the door to the attack being stronger, like the alcohol, because when we open doors for things to comfort us other than God, we are basically saying, yes, devil, mess with me.
Yeah. For sure.
And maybe we don't know we're saying that, obviously, or we wouldn't be doing it. But
that's so
there
true.
it goes. So marriage is not going well. This is second marriage is not going well on top of all of your physical ailments.
Yeah.
But you're also at the same time, you're aching to learn what love is. So those were external problems, marriage, drinking. I think those are external problems or symptoms of what's going on inside of us, because frankly, we could be married to a non-believer and still be full of joy.
Yeah, that's true.
Christ. So what's the real problem here? I could probably say it for you, but I'm wondering what you say.
Okay. No, you're right. Okay, not enough. Insecurity. It's something honestly that I still sometimes struggle with. I pretty much grew up feeling never good enough. And within that, I believe that you almost want to control the situation. So all the unknowns is kind of something that hard for me, because the fact I felt like I got hurt everywhere I went. And not only that, is insecurity. I was never loved myself. I did not love myself.
There we go. That's what I was going to say. And all of those insecurities and things are a symptom of us not loving ourselves in our own ability, but not loving ourselves in the supernatural empowerment of love, because love in itself is a supernatural thing. And I think sometimes we just want to think it's an emotion. And yeah, it can be classified as an emotion, but really it's a person.
Yeah.
God is love. And apart from God, we won't know love. We won't be able to experience love. And we keep searching for it to fill those voids, right? So you're searching for it in another marriage. You're searching for it in the alcohol and whatever else. Is there I don't know if you want to share the other symptoms that you are suffering from. It's up to you.
Are you talking about the addiction that I had?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is definitely, I guess you could say, raw, very transparent. Something I haven't ever talked about hardly publicly, but masturbation. That's the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because that was an outlet, just like alcohol was. Actually, it was a more extreme outlet, because I can never remember not, I guess you could say. So
Okay, wait. I don't think our audience heard that. She can't remember never not using that as an outlet. So we're talking about as far back as a toddler.
Yep, that's correct.
And that's one of maybe the first conversations that we had, because tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you were feeling convicted about it.
Yes.
And you wanted to do something about it, but it felt impossible because this is something you've done for all of your life.
Yeah. And I struggled with, is it right or wrong? It actually took me years to figure that out, because in my mind, if I'm by myself, how is that wrong? If I'm not have a vivid imagination of somebody else being present, is that even wrong then? And honestly, yeah, I think you opened my eyes on that, because I really did struggle with that. I'm like, is this right? Is this wrong? When I was young, I was like told it wasn't that big of a deal. And
so you weren't doing it with pornography. You weren't doing it with those external things. So that's why there was such a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to drop the revelation of what helped you understand and feel that conviction of, oh yeah, I don't need to be doing this?
Well, it's my conscience hugely. At the end, when I figured I was wrong, well, I already had that still small voice, that if you quit the alcohol and if you quit the masturbation, I will heal you. I almost getting teary-eyed thinking about it, because my gosh, am I different now? Just by quitting that. And yeah, it's crazy how that works, because that I really truly didn't believe I could ever quit. I mean, that wasn't one time a day. It was 2, 3, 4, sometimes 6. It was anytime I was stressed out. And sometimes it just came as a feeling that I just gave into. So it's taken a lot of strength, even to this day, to always say no. And all I can think of is something overtaking my child if I do that. And yeah, I mean, things have happened even in my own household. And I kind of took it on myself. It's like, if I can't stop this, how do I encourage this to stop in my own?
And that can go with any kind of addiction, right? Like if we become the chain breakers, how much more powerful and how much more authority do we have to help others? That if we become an overcomer, then we get the authority to help others become the overcomer.
Yep.
So I guess maybe I'm wondering if the listener might want to know, well, how do you get free? How did you get free? What was the revelation that brought you that revelation? And revelation brings power. And so I love how you said your conscience was pricking you. So you already knew there was something there, but that's not the thing that made you stop. It was the revelation of why. And I think even as children, we like to know why. And it's not always bad. It's actually a really good thing. I think God gave us a brain because he wants us to learn. He wants us to understand. And he's not trying to hide anything from us, but he loves the question.
Yes.
I think he loves the question, right? He says, ask and keep on asking, knock and keep on knocking. It says in Proverbs, I think 25:2, it says it's the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings to uncover a matter.
Yep.
And that's what I'm like, I'm always asking God, but why is that wrong? So think of it this way: the self-pleasure, the reaching even to alcohol is a form of you helping comfort you.
Oh, yeah.
And so that can happen with any kind of drugs. That can happen with marijuana. That can happen with depression medicine. I'm not against medicine. You know what you need and you know what you and God have decided. But when you feel that conviction, that's when you're like, okay, well, how do I do it with God? And maybe that's the next question is, yes, it's wrong. It's wrong because I'm comforting myself. So maybe the third step is, but how do I reach to God for comfort? So I'll tell you, that's kind of my next question for you. And I wonder if, I teach the 4 basic things: read your Bible, worship, pray, and community. And if you have those 4 basic fundamental things in your life, you're going to feel better.
Yep.
You're not even going to be able to explain why. And even as you were saying, God told me to quit doing these 2 things and I would feel better. But in addition to that, you did start the basic 4 principles. Am I right?
Yes, I did. Definitely.
So let's add that in. You quit one thing, but you added with God.
Yes, that's what made a world of a difference. Honestly, I never wrote. I never journaled. I never wrote about anything. I never had a secret place, as you call it, like a closet or somewhere I'd go down and pray. I never did that until, honestly, it took my marriage. That was one of the biggest things, because through that I had identity. And when that was broken, I felt I was broken and I had nobody. My body was falling apart. My marriage was falling apart. And all I could do was look up.
There you go.
All I had. That's all I had. So I dedicated my life to God, and it changed. It is. I know a lot of people might look at this and think, oh, some people just say that. No, I'm a testimony of that happening. Yeah. And saying my truth is one of those things you might hear people have comments or whatever they want to say, but for me, this is a breakthrough. For me, it's changed my life. It's not just, oh, it's going to pass. This too shall pass. But my body is a living testimony that this too has changed. And community is huge. Yeah. Having you talk too was a dream, honestly, because I never reached out. That is one thing. People don't reach out to people when they need help. And I wanted to, but it honestly took, you talk about nail biting. That got me, because that is the thing I did. Yeah. And when you talked about why people do that, and that definitely hit home to me. And I was like, man, I can talk to her. But before, I would never reach out to anybody about certain things.
Right. Well, I think Christians are often on the struggle bus. Then they stay on the struggle bus because the devil says, you're the only one with that problem. No one can help you. No one's going to understand. Like, the thing that I'm coming to realize now is I'm able to help so many different people with different backgrounds that I didn't go through. But here's why. Your apples and my oranges might be different, but we have the same enemy.
Yep, that's true.
We have the same enemy and we have the same savior. And that's everything. We are fighting a battle against the same enemy. And our symptoms might look different. Our past creating the symptoms might look different. However, if we can remember we're fighting the same enemy, man, I know how to help you, because I got to fight that enemy too, right?
For real. Yes, that's true.
And I do want to say, like, as you were saying, I was like, I'm coming to you with this raw testimony, but it's not like you just got free yesterday. Like, this is months and months of freedom. So many months that we have, our weekly sessions went down to month to month and several months in between. So this is months of you staying free.
Yep. Since actually January.
There you
January
go.
1st is the day I decided for my health. January 1st, I stopped those two things. So, but the thing that when I found out about my marriage was actually January 27th. That was actually my birthday. So I found out on my birthday some really hurtful things. And so even though I have to say I didn't actually dedicate my life, it was my birthday that I stopped drinking. Because I've stopped the first one on January 1st because I knew that was something I had to do. But it took my birthday to stop drinking because of the whole way it went down. And after that, I said, no more. I will not live like this anymore. This is not going to be my life.
Yeah.
And in that, it's changed, just
And
changed.
isn't it true that your husband took on the same vows of no alcohol?
Yep. He's been so January since my birthday. Yep.
So that's really cool. And that's not everybody's testimony. You can do it
Oh,
yourself, but man, it's so nice when you have someone to do it with, whether it's a coach, a pastor, a friend, but
yes.
man, when it's your spouse, that's a whole nother ball game right there because man, God loves marriage.
Yeah. We came into a crossroads. It was like either we're all in or we're all out because I'm not playing, you get to an age when, yes, broken people attract broken people, but at some point you have to decide, am I going to heal and I'm going to change, or am I going to just sit there in the struggle of a broken marriage? So for me, and I'm not saying it's always, everything's great and it's still a struggle, but it's a choice at this point. This is a choice. We're either going to make it work or we're not. So when we came to that choice, we together decided that was one choice that we also had to make, and that was to stop that because that didn't help us at all. We always end up fighting after drinking because that sometimes happens.
There you go. That's what happened. So
Yeah.
I wanna move on, and I want to say, so all of this, your health got better, your
Yeah.
external symptoms of addictions eliminated, marriage better, work in progress.
A work in progress. Yes.
But for this, as you started your spiritual disciplines and started to learn how to love yourself, I think that's a process of learning, how do I love myself whenever the world has told you you're a piece of garbage,
Yeah.
basically, that you're worthy of being used and disposed of in whatever ways. Learning how to love yourself comes from reading your Bible, worshiping, praying, and learning who God says you are. Would you agree?
Yes, for sure.
And through that, I think that you're starting to learn that you have a purpose on this earth. You
Mhm.
started your business,
Yes.
which you had started at one point, but I tried to encourage you and I was like, listen, I would like your shirts.
Yes.
Susie makes some really awesome shirts. She had a divine inspiration for her shirts. You want to show them the one you're wearing now?
Yes.
So it says, worthy because of him, for those who are just listening. It has a beautiful cross for the T. And
Yes.
she makes what are the different patterns that you use?
Okay, so my inspiration was my identity. So ever since the whole thing happened and I realized I was putting my identity on a person and not on God, it almost came like a vision. I had been praying a lot about a business and family business because it's something I also want to get my kids involved one day. And I never thought maybe t-shirts would be my call. Yeah, I mean, I always liked to do t-shirts, but I was like, a family business as a t-shirts. I don't know if that would do any good. But I was taking a shower one day and it literally almost like pictures just appeared in my head of what exactly was going to happen. And it was like I saw a warehouse in my backyard. I saw my kids help buy him. And it was the cross. It was the way the C looked, like the whole, even the font. And so I got so excited. I came running out. I told my husband all about it. And I was like, let me just try this. Let me just design it. And so I went to design it. And while I was designing it, nothing looked right. And so I started praying as I was doing the font and even the cross. And as it all came together, right, like as my vision. And it was crazy. And I was like, from now on, this isn't going to be just about me. This is about helping people. They'll see you, for me, it's inspiration by you're wearing that shirt. They know what you stand for. Is a conversation starter.
Yeah.
And it's something I want to not just about shirts. It's about a godly intervention with people.
Yeah.
So that's my,
Yeah. So you had the created by him, and I was like, man, I could really use this. And I would like the accepted and the worthy. And because those phrases really minister to people. They really minister to me. And it really ministers to me even as I wear it. I'm constantly reminded, like, yep, I'm accepted. Yep, I'm accepted. In other words, no one can reject me and hurt my feelings right now. They can reject me, but I won't be affected. And just wearing that shirt actually makes me feel more powerful. I really love it. So, how can people get a hold of this if they want to buy one?
Okay, so I actually have a website, www.createdkingdomapparel.com
Yes.
on there.
So, link will be in the show notes.
I have different designs, so it's all about your identity. So most of the things that you see will be, you're accepted, chosen, created by God. So when you go to click on the shirt, there will be description to buy it and like some Bible verses to inspire you, because I want to make it about not just the shirt, but like an experience of this, a calling that God had put on my life to inspire people through making shirts about your identity. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch to see what happens.
Okay, I am so excited about it. So, Susie, I'm just so thankful for your vulnerability today. The things that you said that you struggled with are not unique to you. And I just want to remind you that they're not unique to you. And the people listening need to hear that if they're having a similar struggle, oh, this is not so unique. I don't need to be isolated. I need to reach out for help. And so I just say, are you sure that it's okay for me to share this testimony on my podcast and however else I share it?
Yes.
Thank you. I just thank you for that. Thank you for your vulnerability. And so that's where I was going with this is as you got closer to God, you got closer to understanding you do have a purpose on this earth. And you even started a Facebook group.
Yeah, so I started actually it's women on there. It says girl look up. So I have to say, and this is actually added on to my story of how low I felt when I was hurting and the pain I was going through. I actually started to feel like I shouldn't even be around anymore. I got to the point where I was like, I'm not a good mom anymore. I can't even hardly move. I can't cook. I can't clean. I can't work. What good am I anymore? And the devil kept whispering in my ear and kept telling me, you're not going to amount to anything. You're not good enough. Life would be better if you weren't here. And I started having those thoughts over and over. And honestly, I didn't know who to go to. And so I made this chat after I started getting better. And I was like, I don't want anybody to ever feel alone while they're going through something, especially. And I know how chronic pain can be or how a broken marriage can be. And so for me, it was like just encouragement. Like if I just had someone there, which you came later, but like even in the other, like the dark part, it was just like, you almost don't want to reach out to somebody.
Oh, yeah, the devil deceives us.
Yeah.
He deceived me too. He said, no one will understand you. No one's ever been where you're at. Like you're not going to have anyone you could talk to, and they're not going to be able to help you, even if you tell them your problems.
And they're going to criticize you or make you feel you're not good enough and
stupid and strip you of all of your dignity anymore that you had left. Yeah. I think we all have those common struggles. So on Facebook, other women can join. It's called Girl Look Up.
Yep.
And we welcome you to join that group. And all kind of people post in there. It's not just you posting, it's anyone posting their story and testimonies of what God is doing.
Yeah, it's encouragement was my focus. It's like if I could just encourage someone through that day, or somebody could encourage each other. So it wouldn't be just me. It would be us as as a group helping each other out. And at least we would know that any of those people in the group, we could reach out to them if we have a bad day, and we can just help encourage each other.
Right. It's so beautiful. Well, I really thank you for that. I thank you for sharing today. Thank you for opening your business back up and letting the purpose of God flood your life and being an encouragement to everyone who's going to hear this. We just declare that those ears that are hearing are going to have that hope that they need, that they can be rescued from their struggle. We just declare that in Jesus' name. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you really enjoyed this conversation between Susie and I today. She was being super vulnerable, and I tell you what, I know it's going to minister to someone out there. And if you thought you'd like some of the breakthroughs that Susie went through, whether it's for physical or emotional pain, one of the first things that I led her to was learning how to forgive. And you can find all of that in the journey of healing from injustices. You can go find it in a workbook. where it has fillable journal pages, scripted prayers that you can do in your privacy of your own home, your own timing. There's also video teachings where you can see me in 8 different very short videos. I'm going to teach you what forgiveness is, what it's not, why we do it, and how to do it. This is step-by-step teaching in the privacy of your own home. You can find all of these at heatherobrien.net/courses in the journey of healing from injustices. All right, well, that's all for today, warriors. Share this episode with a friend or two, and I pray blessings and favor will chase you down.